Alright guys, so we're here back at Joesnowmobiles garage. I'm working on my dad's 2004 Toyota Camry. It's a 4-cylinder, probably doesn't really make a difference whether it's a 4 or 6-cylinder, probably uses the same brakes. I don't know that for a fact. Hold on, I forgot the brakes, bud. Okay, so we got some brakes from AutoZone, Duralast. These are the cheap version. Semi-metallic MKDs. You can use ceramic. This is going to leave a little more wheel dust on the hubcaps, or if you have rims. Anybody can do their own brakes. You don't need to take it in. If you got a jack like this, or even a smaller jack and a tire iron, you can take off your tire. Real easy to do. Here's the brakes. It looks like they just have a regular steel shim on the back. It's not the best. You kind of want the ones with rubber, but you could put some grease, and some different companies sell some lubricants to put on the back to make it a little quieter. You can put some in between there too. But these are semi-metallic. That's a slot. Those are your chamfers. It's supposed to match the original equipment. So anyway, I'll show you how to put them on so you can do it yourself and save yourself a bunch of money. So take the tire off. I won't show you how to take a tire off, because if you don't know how to take a tire off, you probably shouldn't be doing your brakes. Alright, so this is your rotor. This is your brake caliper. This is your, this is your bracket, and this is your caliper. And we'll have some hardware and other things. So I'm going to show you next how to take off your brake caliper, and then how to take off your rotor. Of course, replace your pads, clean up any hardware or replace hardware. The set we got didn't come with hardware, so we're going to have to reuse the old ones, only because couldn't find the hardware at any of the local shops. So we didn't really want to waste time. We need to get this done tonight. So that being said, in the next shot you'll see us, I'll show you how to take off this brake caliper. Okay, next you're going to want to get yourself a ratchet. This is a 3/8 inch ratchet, and I have a 14mm socket. And you're going to want to take, it depends on your car, but usually they're going to be similar in design. Sometimes they have a star socket in the back, but you can usually use a regular metric or a standard socket to remove your caliper. Alright, so you want to remember that when you're loosening these, it's opposite. So normally I say lefty loosey, righty tighty, or counterclockwise is to loosen it, clockwise to tighten it. In this case, we actually have to go opposite of what you would think, because the screw is on the opposite side, not facing us. So just make sure you're going the right direction when you loosen this. So we're going to go actually this way to loosen this. Okay, so the first one is loose, and you can now go down to the one on the bottom. Let me see if I can show you, and then I will show you where it's at here. Right down here. Alright, and I'm going to get on it with the ratchet. Same thing, just loosen it up, and you have to remove these all the way so that you can get the caliper off. And that's about the size they are right there. Alright, so don't lose those. Sometimes there's one is long, one is short. You want to make sure that you don't get them mixed up. Make sure you put the same lengths in. These look to be exactly the same, so it doesn't matter. You can put either one on the top or the bottom. Alright, next, if you have a screwdriver, this is kind of the shade, I'm showing you the shade tree mechanic way to do this. This is not the professional way to do it, but this is a way to do it if you have minimal amount of tools. Take a screwdriver, put it in between your brake pad here. It's going to be hard to show you. Maybe I can, I don't know if I could turn this or not. Nope, not going to be able to turn that right now. Anyways, there is a little gap here. You might have to get your head down here to look in there. But let me show you what the, let me get the camera down here real quick, see if we can. Alright, so there you see the brake pads. We're going to get a screwdriver in there and pry them apart. Just going to get in here. And basically what you want to do is kind of push the brakes. There's a piston, which if you need to skip ahead in this video you can, which will probably make more sense. we're just kind of releasing the pressure, pushing that piston back into the brake caliper. And I'm kind of doing that with the screwdriver. And you'll see now we can more easily remove this caliper. So what you're doing is you're basically putting this screwdriver in here, in between either the rotor or somewhere inside the bracket, and you're forcing this back in. You can also take a brake pad, and I'm going to set this up here. You can also take one of the old brake pads. Once you get it out, you're going to put that right there, and then you're going to take a C-clamp, which I'm going to show you next, squeeze those two things together and push it all the way back in. So now that we got that one out, and you just pull these brakes out. Sometimes you got to pry them with the screwdriver to pop them out. Make sure you take out that one on the back side. Pops out, no big deal. Here's the old shims, don't reuse them. Those get thrown out with the old pads. You can see there's about, I don't know, 2 millimeters worth of friction material left on these pads. A little more. It's a little more over here, a little less over here. Sometimes that's typical on a car. It gets a little more worn on one side than the other. But you can see that this wear sensor is actually shiny, and that was actually rubbing on the rotor and making the noise. So that's what you're going to hear. You're going to hear a little squeak. That's a little wear sensor right there that's doing that. Pretty straightforward. This one you can see actually had a slot, but it's totally filled with material, unlike the new ones that we have. Let's compare them. Here's your new one, there's your old one. You can see the slots. Here's the new versus the old. You can see the friction material difference, how much is left. So a lot more in this one, obviously. Alright, so next, let's pop off this hardware. And if you're going to get new hardware, it doesn't matter if you mangle this or not. But if you're going to reuse it, just be careful, pry it off with the screwdriver. This is pretty bad shape. We might have to get some new ones. If you're doing it, might as well do it right, I say. Anyways. And there's the other one. Same thing, just pop it off. Pretty simple. Alright, next you want to take off, make sure this doesn't fall. Some people say hook it up with a bungee cord, whatever. You can do that. Just don't pinch the hose here. Don't let it hang from the hose, and the caliper will be fine. Alright, so next I got to take off this bracket right here. So it's a larger bolt in the back. 17 fits perfectly. So that is a 17 millimeter for the back. Now this one can be a little trickier because it doesn't get removed sometimes near as often. And sometimes you got to get like a sledgehammer and bang on this ratchet. But there we go, we got it. So you just got to put a lot of muscle behind it. So if you have someone who's strong, get them to do it. And just loosen these up, and you will remove this bracket. Pretty simple. Now they can be stuck on there pretty good, so sometimes I suggest if you get it on there, give it a good whack with a plastic mallet. Just hit it hard, and that should free it up. If you live in Illinois, like we do, you get a lot of rust and buildup, and things seize up. We're pretty lucky. We got these loose, and they haven't, thankfully, rusted solid. So you're just going to remove this bracket, and the reason you're removing this bracket is to change the rotors. Now, if you're not going to change the rotors, then you don't have to remove this bracket. And again, just make sure that these are the same size, top and bottom, and of course these are, so no worries. Now some of these rotors have a special screw holding them on in one of these holes, and it's usually a Phillips head or star. What I do is, if you watch Eric the Car Guy's videos, he has a video demonstrating this. Put a screwdriver in there and then hit that with a steel mallet, and that will break that seal on that screw, and you'll be able to undo it. So this one luckily doesn't have a screw holding it on, so we're able to take the rotor directly off. I see a lot of rust there. That's what happens in Illinois. I just want to clean off, clean off what you can. Ideally, you want this hub to be pretty clean. If there's a lot of rust built up on it, you want to clean that off. And that's pretty much it. Then you put your new rotor on, which we'll do in a second. And then we're going to press the caliper back in, put the new pads back on, the bracket back on, and show you how to reassemble it. All right, let me